The Great Gospel of John, revealed from the Lord through the inner word to Jakob Lorber. Volume 5, from chapter 216 and 217. Miracleworking of Jesus, transformation of an area. The Lord says, I say, teaching is better than signs, for signs coerce, while teaching leads and awakens the power demanded in itself, and that is then the truest and fullest possession of man, which he himself has received through his own activity. But of course, people such as you have already long ago set yourselves above all issues of forced faith and its measured limits. Even the greatest signs no longer have any forcing power, because they do not receive any force to compel observers like you for as long as they have not been accepted by your theory of life in respect of the how as clearly enlightening and very visible. And so I can already perform a little test without any harm for yours and your neighbor's mind. But my signs, which I perform to confirm the truth of my new teaching, should always be set up to give man, besides the great moral use, also the physical. And so I believe for you all, and at the same time in you all, that it would be of great use to you in the future if you, as now my very respected new disciples, would not find yourselves so completely and totally in a very barren desert, but instead, if this area was immediately turned into a very fertile one. Do you all agree with this? Epiphan says, "Oh Master, if that were possible for you, you would truly have performed a highly praiseworthy sign. But truly, if that were possible for you, then you would indeed be obviously more than all the greatest wise men and Jewish prophets of the world. Yes, then you would be very actually seriously a god, and your new teaching would have to be the fullest truth. For a man should just look once at this true Dabuora, desert of pitch and naphtha. Nothing but bare cliffs reaching up to the clouds. Only the foot of this genuine mountain of pitch is covered here and there with sparing shrubs. Only a few sources spring forth out of its innards into daylight. And there under the sharpest cliffs a meager cedar wood vegetates as a true sanctuary of this pitch mountain. Everything else far and near is naked and bare like the surface of the water. Well, that shall now be transformed into a fruitful area of the earth, through your powerful word of will? Such a thing is indeed a little difficult to believe in advance. But you said in the introduction to your teaching, which, although it sounds very puzzling, nonetheless must be true in this respect, because you are a man who firstly thinks too purely to make fun of people such as us, and who, secondly, has already performed some extraordinary things here. I entreat you, therefore, if it seriously costs you nothing more than one single word of your will. I say, then pay attention, and I will tell you nothing further than this. I will it so. And now just look, my very dear Epiphan, at this area, and tell me how you like it." Epiphan, along with Asiona and Hiram and all the others present here, beat their chests and become quite silent with amazement. And Epiphan observes the now very magnificent area with wide eyes. The mountains covered with forests, and the shore area, which had an extent of almost 1,000 acres, and was covered with nothing but only sparse grass as pasture for a few goats and sheep, and now lay there in the most fruitful opulence, and then again at me with a searching look. Only after a good while of amazement does he, Epiphan, open his mouth again and says, "Yes, in order to be able to perform such a thing in one instant, one must already be more than a god. For a god, as I know from the various religions of the Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Jews, and even Persians and Indians, takes his time and performs his miracles quite calmly and seems to make use of a number of great means and apparatuses. There must be a sun, a moon, several planets, a countless number of other stars. These help him in certain circumstances, places, and situations to perform miracles on this earth, where, however, apart from a bolt of lightning from the clouds, everything happens very slowly. But you have performed something in an instant here, that a god, as I know several from the books and scriptures, certainly even with all the industriousness of man, would have taken another couple of 100 boring years of time to do. From this I take the undeceiving conclusion that you must obviously be more God than all the other gods about whom I have heard and read very much. Lord and Master of all masters of the earth. How, and once again, how is that possible for you? And should that also be possible for the likes of us in time, if one has become completely familiarized with your new teaching? I say, yes, my dear friend Epiphan. Otherwise, I would not have said it to you. But how that is possible, however, I have already said to you, and even shown it clearly. And I tell you this as well, that my true disciples will do and perform even greater things in time on this earth than what I have done and performed. But of course, it always remains to all my true disciples to recognize and to know that they will only be able to perform all such things if they become fully one in their spirit with my spirit, and so at every opportunity seek advice in their spirit with my spirit, whether such a thing is necessary in order to achieve some good purpose. For if someone, even living exactly in my teaching, feels prompted to save his life himself, demanded by some powerful person, to have to perform a sign to confirm his highest mission, I would say to him in the spirit, do not do it, for it is not my will now. So then the disciple will also want what I want. But if he should nevertheless try to perform a sign, he will not be able to, since my will was not one with his. Only with me, that is, in constant union with my spirit and will you all be able to perform everything, but without it, nothing. For I am the Lord and will remain so eternally. And look, that is also part of my teaching. Have you understood me? Epiphan says, yes indeed, Lord and Master of all masters, but I find there something which, according to my judgment, does not go so well with the actual fullest freedom of the human spirit. For if, for example, I can only perform a sign when you also want to perform such a thing, then my will is indeed eternally more dependent, more bound to yours, and thus not free. I say, oh, there you are very much mistaken. On the contrary, the more closely a human spirit is united with my spirit, the freer it is in spirit and will, since I myself contain the greatest and most unlimited freedom. A man curtails himself in his freedom only in so far as he does not unite with me. Yet he who is completely at one with me is capable of doing all that I do, for nowhere outside of me is there an unlimited might and unlimited power of action. No one who is fully at one with me is deprived of even one atom of independence. Can you think of a greater and happier advantage to your life than to be together with me, that is, with my spirit, almighty and active like I am, and yet at the same time completely independent? Tell me now how you like this.